Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I tried to take myself off of my Wi-Fi here because the Wi-Fi here causes my video to interrupt sometime. But with the doors to the altar room closed because my daughter is studying in the study and she likes to play music kind of loud, I had to turn it back on. So let's just hope that you guys can hear me good. If I get some time, when you guys see me in the next few days, my hair is going to be fire red. Now, if I'm wearing a mouchoir, that means it went horribly wrong. So, but I just washed it today, and it's a damn shame when you have to have a two-step process to wash your hair, your scalp, and then your locks. And I'm getting to the point where they're getting to be entirely too long. But that's neither here nor there because I'm vain, so I don't want to cut them off. But there's two topics I wanted to talk to you guys about. And one of them is so funny because one of my brothers covered this and I shared his status the other day about forgiveness. Now, I've got a lot of clients that I speak to on a regular who have issues, and most of those issues surround a parent that is either sick, dying, or has died. And even though they're not Christian, even though they're in, an African traditional religion or there's some other form of paganism, they often talk to me about, like, what am I going to do to forgive this person? And the things that usually are discussed during that reading are things like physical and, sexual abuse. Not like mama didn't leave me in the will or some shit like that. And I tell them, well, you don't. You're under absolutely no obligation to forgive anybody who has really, really, really hurt you in a way that has impacted your entire life. A lot of these people, especially black folks, they don't go and get the mental health services that they need to process the things that have happened to them. A lot of them walk around with a lot of guilt, even though your rational mind tells you that it's not your fault. Your mental illness, your PTSD, your anxiety that is caused by being a victim of an abuser will tell you that in some way and somehow, just because you breathed air, that it was your fault. I am an abuse survivor. I am a sexual abuse survivor. I am a verbal abuse survivor. Okay? And, I had the blessing of working things out with my mother because she was verbally abusive and an alcoholic. It wasn't until I had my own child and I faced my own challenges that I could even relate to her illness. And I got blessed. Not everybody gets that. At my mother's funeral, I stood up at the podium and I said, a few years ago I couldn't get up here and say anything nice about her. I couldn't. But we worked through that together. There is a very, very, very big difference between somebody who has fucked with you and fucked you over and has never apologized, who has never tried to make amends. There is no way you can ever possibly make amends for doing something like that, especially to somebody who loves you and trusts you and depends on you for everything they need. But if they try, that can make a difference. Okay? And that's because I realized, even when I was a Christian, there's a book everybody should read, whether you're Christian or not. It's called When Forgiveness Does Not Make Sense, because even though I'm not a Christian, I have a Christ consciousness. And it talks about how you ain't got to be the same fool twice. If you do forgive somebody for something, and I'm not talking about the deeper issues that I was talking about before, like things like infidelity. I'm not convinced humans were made to be monogamous. Certain betrayals. There are certain things that can be forgiven, but if somebody kills somebody I love, No, I ain't got no forgiveness. And every time these Negroes get on TV talking about they forgive them, I'm like, you out your fucking mind. They're the part of the problem that we're in the situation that we are in now. We are too quick. People always try to paint black people as the most dangerous people on earth. But I promise you, boo-boo, we are the people who are most willing to forgive. And that's going to go into the second part of a conversation, because not only are we willing to forgive, we're also always willing to give somebody some shit that is ours. That has a lot of good qualities about it. I'm not sitting up here and tell you don't be a generous person, don't be a loving person, don't be a forgiving person. That is not what I'm telling you. But what I'm telling you is, especially in the cases of ancestor veneration, this is the biggest question that I always get. My daddy, my people, my mama, somebody wasn't good to me. Do I have to put that person on my altar? Do I have to venerate that person? And the answer is hell no. If they didn't take care of you in life, I don't know their capacity for taking care of you in death. I cannot answer that question. So, if you still got issues with somebody that you loved who took advantage of that love, especially if it's a parent, or grandparent, or a family member, and they pass away, you are, in my personal opinion, and I'm going to tell you all this, ancestor veneration is probably one of the loosest venerations there is. When you get into the ATRs, there are all different types of requirement, and I'm not going to speak on those because I am not a priestess. But ancestor, you do pretty much as spirit leads you. And if spirit tells you, you have to understand, when you put up an ancestor altar, you are welcoming that person into your house. My ancestors sit on my hearth. There's some ancestors that I loved, but because I know of the spirits they dealt with when they were living, I don't even know if I want to work with them just yet. But you have to understand that you're under no obligation now. There are actually some people, and this happens. I'm not saying that you should never ever do that or anything else like that. There are some people, and I know I became closer to my mother in death than I was to her in life. I believe that sometimes, in a lot of cases, when you evolve, when you get to that other side, you have that opportunity to be something in someone else. But people always ask me, well, where do evil spirits come from? And I have to tell you, they come from evil-ass motherfucking people. Evil spirits just don't fucking pop up. And usually they're tortured. They're intranquil. And y'all be fucking around with them intranquil spirits. Okay. But they've got some unfinished business, whether it is benevolent or whether it's malevolent. So that's why you have a lot of fucked hauntings and possessions of evil spirits. So if you are convinced that that ancestor was evil, don't invite evil into your house. Don't invite evil into your house ever. Okay? So, getting back to this whole thing about spirit realm, there are some people that I have spoken to who, through working with said ancestor and having specific spirit communications, which are also very, very difficult to achieve for a lot of people, have come to peace and have come to a place where they forgive that person and they're able to work with that person. And I think that that is like some really amazing shit. But does it happen to most of us? Just like most of us ain't workers. Most of us aren't psychics. Most of us aren't readers. You got a lot of people that think they are. But it's so funny because I'm sitting up here when I give my readings. I give the readings before I deal the cards. And I tell them everything. And then we do the cards, and the cards say exactly what I said. And they're just like, oh my God, that's so spot on. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of like why you paid me. But not everybody can do all things well. And that includes your spirits. Okay? I don't have to work with demons. I got some evil motherfuckers in my family that if I need to pull them out, I will not hesitate. But the way I live my life, I don't really have to roll like that. So, when it comes to forgiveness, the biggest thing, and this is the message that I gotta keep pressing on and telling people, is you gotta forgive yourself. You gotta forgive yourself for a number of things. First of all, whatever happened to you, wasn't your fault. So you really got to let go of the guilt of what could I have possibly done wrong to make somebody who was supposed to love and take care of me mistreat me. You got to let that go. As adults, we've seen human beings can do some monstrous shit to people, to each other, to their own countrymen. People always question, well, why did Africans sell other Africans? Because Africa is not a country, it's a continent. These are warring nations. This ain't, I'm going to sell my fucking neighbor. It's a big difference. So understand that people at their very base are animals. And we have to try. You know, people used to get mad when people talk about how relationship is hard work. But what I realize is as human animals, every day to be civil, to be polite, to be honest, to have integrity, to do the right thing, you got to try to do that. That's an effort. Because I don't know about you all, but the way my inner spirit is set up, the first thing that comes out of it is not always a good thing. They be like, oh fuck, my mind goes, oh fuck that bitch. And then I have to sit down and be like, no, where are you coming from this? Why are you angry about this? But there are some people that don't have that moral filter. There are some people that cannot do that type of processing. And you can call it, and I'm sorry, this insanity defense. Now, you have to understand, I'm a very, very big believer in mental illness, but let me tell you something. Everybody who does something horrific to somebody, like abuse, like murder, yes, they're mentally ill. You can't be sane and do horrific shit to another human being, much less your own children. You know, some of their insanity is fueled by the church. Some of them are just garden variety, ain't never stepped in the house of God fucking motherfucking crazy. And you are under no obligation to forgive them if they have not done anything, especially the ones, all the motherfuckers that continue to deny what they've done to you. I get mad for my clients. I cry with my clients because it's like, you didn't deserve that. And usually it's one of the first times they've ever really talked to somebody about it. It messes with me talking about it right now. They never talked to anybody. They never said, you know, they hurt me, and this is what happened, and my mama didn't believe me, or my mama was trying to keep her boyfriend so she wouldn't get rid of him, and she let him keep doing it. I had an aunt who, let me tell you about how evil thrives. This woman is like 96 years old. And I don't know what she did with make amends, but all of her daughters were raped by her husband. And when my grandfather found out about it, this is his grown-ass daughter, he went to her house and beat her like a grown-ass man. Yes, he did. Now, this was back in the 50s, but, you know, she let him rape all her daughters. And, you know, as much as I love her, and as much as, yeah, my volume's turned up. Maybe yours needs to be turned up